chronic pain generally, and I have MS as well. So I guess I have a compromised immune system, which has made me a little bit susceptible to having shingles. So I've had a chronic pain condition since 2000, which involves a back injury. So I've been on pretty strong medication for that for a long time, and I was diagnosed with MS in 2008 on top of that. So that puts me on immunosuppressant medication, so medication which suppresses my immune system. So not only does the illness, I guess, give me a compromised immune system, but the medication as well does. So at the beginning of this year, around Australia Day, I got an earache, and I didn't think anything of it initially. This was on the Wednesday before Australia Day. I woke up with a bit of a sore ear around the outside of my ear, and I just thought I'd slept funny. So I didn't go to the doctor or anything, but the next day my ear was incredibly painful. So later that day I rang up and made an appointment, and I got in the next day to see my doctor, and she looked in my ear and saw I had blisters. And it was not what I thought of. I was thinking of all sorts of things like brain tumours and heaven knows what. But no, she told me I had shingles. And so she put me on some medication. She put me on some antivirals. And she also gave me a medication for the pain called Lyrica, which totally bombed me out, but helped with the pain. But then later that day, my face started to become very numb, or half my face. And my mouth started particularly to become very strange. I started spilling food. I couldn't eat properly. My eye wouldn't close. So immediately the next day, which was Australia Day, I managed to get an appointment back with my doctor, and by then half my face was totally paralysed. And she looked at me and said I had Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. Bit like getting Bell's palsy with shingles. A lot of people have heard of Bell's palsy, but not many people have heard of Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. And I couldn't close my eye. My eye just stayed open like a headlight. And I couldn't use my mouth. It was completely immobile. I couldn't use it at all. I couldn't taste. I couldn't. I just couldn't function. I couldn't eat. I couldn't. I was useless. It was terrible. I looked like the Elephant Man. So she then put me also on some cortisone, and basically told me to rest. When I first got shingles, the pain was absolutely phenomenal. It was the worst pain you could possibly imagine, and it's a nerve type pain. And because my shingles were in my ear, it was internal pain. Most people get shingles externally. It follows a nerve line, shingles, and they usually get blisters. It could be on their torso or on their face. Mine were internal, so I couldn't scratch anything. It was infuriating. They were in my ear and some in my mouth. So my pain was largely in my face, and so all I could do was just hold myself and rub, externally. But even a lot of people suggested that I put heat packs or cold packs on, but the nerve pain was so intense, even that set off the pain intensely. So even I couldn't even do that. Putting a heat pack on just set the pain off even worse. So any sort of change in temperature made the pain worse. So I couldn't even use that as a form of relief. Just a phenomenal pain. If you can imagine the worst possible toothache that you've ever had in your life, a nervy, root canal-y, horrible toothache, and then treble it, that's kind of what it was like. Well, my GP referred me off to see an ophthalmologist, and we discussed various options. First of all, he couldn't tell me how long this was going to go on for. He actually stitched my eye closed. I had stitches in my eye for a few weeks because we thought that might actually solve the problem. So I had a little bit of day surgery, which was quite horrendous because it left me with dreadful bruising and so forth of my eye. I had a big black eye, and I lived with it by putting pictures on Facebook actually and making a bit of a joke of it, which was a bit of fun. But so in the end, the stitches came out after 3 weeks, and I ended up having to continue taping my eye shut. Well, the eye itself works perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with the eyeball. I can see perfectly well out of my eye. It's just that my eyelid won't close. It just wants to stay open. It's like it's got something in it that wants to hold it open. Yeah, well, certainly it affected things like driving. For the first 2 months I just didn't drive at all, but of course that was also affected by all the medication that I was on as well. I was on huge amounts of pain relieving medication. The first 2 months I did nothing. I just stayed at home. I walked around like a drunkard, and I was completely reliant upon the goodwill of friends and family to do everything for me. But as time's gone on, I've learned to adapt to having one eye. So now, 7 months later, what I'm left with is my eye obviously still doesn't close completely, and I still can't suck spaghetti through my mouth, and I still can't taste completely through the front sort of third section of the right side of my mouth. So taste is still an issue for me, and I can't blow birthday candles out properly. I had a birthday last week, and I had to blow birthday candles out on several occasions, and the air goes all out the side and not out the front. But now my shingles lasted for about 2 months, and then I was just left with the facial paralysis.